My name is Sarah Benjamin. I am a Hasidic housewife, mother of 10 children, living in Brooklyn.
My name is Tony Benjamin. My Hebrew name is YEHUDA Benjamin, and we live here in Crown Heights.
It was an evening. We were out driving back from someplace, and I got a call on my cell phone from Hatzalah, which is the Jewish community's paramedic organization. He said, "You have a son living in Crown Heights. His name is Kasriel." And I said, "Yeah." He says, "He's very sick and I need to take you to him." He said there was an overdose. And I said, "Is he still alive?" And he said, "They're working on him."
Is kind of the phone call you never believe you're ever going to get. Underneath, you know this is not good. Even though they're working on him, this is not going to end well.
Say something.
No. I don't like video.
How'd you know?
Because you have it holding up like that.
No, say something.
Okay, so this is, we're on hour, 8 of our trip back from borough. We're tired. We're hot.
You're shuckling.
Shuckling.
And it's his birthday.
It is actually my birthday.
Say it's Dvar Torah
That's our Torah.
with your
I
shuckling.
couldn't even breathe at that point. I was trying to tell Tony, and it was hard to get the words out. And we got home a couple minutes later, and he took us to Crown Heights, to his apartment. The police were there. It was nighttime, and people milling around, and then I was shaking, and I had to sit down on somebody's stoop.
In reality, when they said they're working on him, he'd actually been dead for many hours already. So that ride was just dreadful.
It was just total shock. Honestly, losing a child is so huge and so life-altering.
This is stuff you read about in the paper with somebody else. Like you read in the paper, somebody's kid unfortunately died of an overdose. They lived in Queens, and maybe a Jewish family, a Christian, whatever. And you say, oh, that's really sad. And then you go back to your newspaper. When it happens to you, you realize nobody's immune from some of this stuff.
I don't know what that is.
What is this?
This is when he was born.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
See, it was little then. That's his leg thing from the hospital.
When he was born.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did they post a picture?
Kasriel was the fifth of 10 children, 8 boys, 2 girls. He was 25 years old when he died of an overdose. He was very, very sensitive and outgoing at the same time, loved people.
Very upbeat person altogether. Part of his character was to be a peacemaker. And he very much liked to see everything running smoothly, people getting along. Kazi was one of those special souls who transformed the world for the better. He was immensely kind and always spoke so highly of you all. That's us.
And then he was working, he had various jobs, working with other young men in different companies. He hadn't found his thing yet when he died.
So this is the little pieces of his hair that was cut when he turned 3.
We don't cut their hair till they're 3.
And especially even within the Jewish community, a community which is kind of self-contained and self-sufficient, and you feel that somehow, because you're in the religious kind of area, that your kids are somehow protected from this stuff to some degree. And it's just not true. What normally happens when a kid dies is that often the community will not ask a direct question. They won't ask, how did the kid die? Because sometimes they don't want you to have to say the answer if it's something on, a drug addiction or a suicide or some other thing that may be problematic.
Addiction or mental illness are considered moral defects to some degree still. It's a devastating blow to the family.
It's a very courageous couple. They've come forward and they've spoken about it openly, and I know it's hard. It's hard to do that. It's hard to speak about it openly. It's hard to speak about the death of a child.
Both my wife and I felt it was time to begin to chip away at the shame and the stigma that is attached to the disease of addiction, be it drugs, alcohol, or whatever. This debilitating shame is one of the things that prevents addicts from getting the help they need.
As a result of their outreach, of them talking about it in the open, they are encouraging, first of all, parents to take preventive measures. They're encouraging people that may be struggling that it's normal to happen. Anybody can become addicted to drugs, but you have to seek help. So it's very, very simple. You take the naloxone, goes in here, and you put a little nasal piece here. Operation Survival was the first opioid overdose prevention program in New York. We distribute naloxone, a drug that reverses the effect of an opioid. We're losing too many children to drugs, and there's a need to teach children about drugs and about the dangers of drugs.
The opiate epidemic, is coming from the availability of painkillers, and the drug companies freely encourage doctors to use and stuff.
When Kasriel died, we know from his friends that perhaps the usage wasn't just heroin, that he had been taking doses of Xanax, and that tied to heroin can certainly be fatal if you take enough of it. Because it's a regulated prescription drug, it almost has the sense of legitimacy. It's not a thing you go buy on the street corner from a little packet of a guy you don't know and don't trust. This is manufactured by a legitimate pharmaceutical company, and the addicts quickly learned how to break it up and snort it.
We did a campaign in Crown Heights where all the shop owners used Operation Survival bags, where the bag said, "Teach youth to refuse to use." The purpose of these bags were to start a conversation. We gave it about 15,000 bags. We walked up Kingston Avenue and Albany Avenue and all the stores. People were carrying these bags in the neighborhood.
It's easy to think of that as absolute failure as a parent. Like, you couldn't even do the basics, keep the kid alive. One of the reasons why I'm willing to talk to people is you want something positive in your life, not just this sinking negative feeling. And if it has a purpose, like where you can help people with it, that helps a lot.
Anyway, and
Chai doesn't want to sleep.
okay, that's it, right?
I don't know. I have more things to say. I don't really have much to say.
Okay, say bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Signing off for now. Till next time.
Peace.
Any kind of movie scene or thing where you see some kind of tenderness or connection with people, also just very emotional thing that somehow kicks in. So it's better, but it's never disappears.
Ah non